Paul Murphy, you have 10 minutes.
Thank you, Gael. I asked to make a personal statement under Standing Order 46, but the Gael offered instead to have this slot, which I welcome. And
well, yes, once you devote at least half of your time to what the debate is about.
No.
Well, I'm telling you that's my ruling.
Okay. Well, I'll start.
You have 5 minutes or less.
So
I want
to put on record that what happened and the contributions of Deputy Farrell and Deputy, I think it's Eugene Murphy, were outrageous. To attempt to use a debate on gangland killings to make cheap, unfounded allegations and criticisms of me in relation to legal aid. In particular, I would ask that Deputy Farrell be asked to withdraw the remark that I committed a crime on the taxpayer. I note that Deputy Murphy clearly saw me come in, however then scuttled off. I note that Deputy Collins earlier on made a snide reference to the same issue. And so there's been a lot of nonsense spoken about this issue by people in the media and now repeated inside the Dáil. The common features of all this nonsense and the people speaking it is that, one, people know nothing about how the legal aid system works and seem to conflate the civil legal aid system and a criminal legal aid system. The second common feature, unsurprisingly, is that all of these people are for the water charges. And they're feeling a little bit sore now that a massive movement of protest and non-payment has beaten you and beaten you and beaten the elements of the establishment media that hate to see working class people organising and fighting back. And so that's the context of feeling sore and trying to do damage to the Anti-Austerity Alliance, trying to do damage to the anti-water charges movement in general. So let's put some facts on the record because they've been absent in terms of this debate. The case that faces me in terms of the protest in Jobstown in November of 2014 started out in the District Court. In the District Court, I didn't apply for and I didn't receive legal aid. I had to pay my legal fees. However, the DPP, the state, sought to move the case from the District Court to the Circuit Court as they sought to try it on indictment. Why did they do that? Well, because the maximum sentence, if we were convicted in the District Court, is only a year in prison, whereas the maximum sentence, if we're convicted in the Circuit Court, is life in prison. So that's why the DPP made that decision. That's one consequence of going from the District Court to the Circuit Court. The other consequence is that legal costs balloon. So if any defendant, any of us, any of the 19 didn't receive legal aid and had to pay for a solicitor, junior counsel and senior counsel for a trial that has been set aside at least 4 weeks, the lawyers say perhaps 6 weeks would be expected, a huge number of witnesses, a massively complex case, the fees that they would be faced with could potentially be well in excess of €100,000. That's not an exaggeration. And so whether I take a young worker's wage or don't take a young worker's wage is not the point. I could take the entire TD's salary for the next year, not spend any of it, and I still couldn't afford to pay those legal fees. I would therefore be denied access to justice, which I think is what the deputies there and the deputies there would like to see happen. It's also worth noting that those found not guilty of criminal offences, having spent €100,000 defending themselves in the Circuit Court, they don't get the money back. And so they could be subsequently taken to court again and again and again and for things they're not guilty of and subsequently effectively bankrupted. The entire case is going to cost the state and the taxpayers millions of euros. That is the result of decisions of the Gardaí and the DPP to pursue this vindictive prosecution in the first place and then to prosecute it in the Circuit Court where the costs are much higher. Water charges are now being suspended. All criminal charges, not just ours, all criminal charges relating to the protests should be dropped. They should stop this persecution of protesters and a massive waste of taxpayers' money. And if the deputies are really interested in taxpayers' money, that's what they would be calling for to happen. So I would like the deputies to clarify their remarks, to apologise for their remarks and to withdraw their remarks of unfounded allegations like the idea of a crime against taxpayers. Thank you very much.
Are you going to speak on crime?
I'm finished. Thank you.
Well, that's fine. You had 10 minutes.